Let the team win. And at the end of the day, it takes a leader to think that way. And if you don't think that way, then you're not going to win.
Welcome to Real Leadership, the show that cuts through the clutter to spotlight leaders who make, move, and process things in the real economy. This isn't about buzzwords or theories. It's about bold decisions, solving challenges, and the strategies driving industries that matter. I'm Jim Weaver, CEO of the Owner Group. In every episode, we get real about what it takes to turn vision into action and obstacles into opportunities. Let's go. Greg Ramfos is a serial entrepreneur and experienced CEO with more than 32 years of leadership across automotive, manufacturing, consumer products, and SaaS. He currently serves as Chief Executive Officer with DURA Shiloh, where he's leading a global turnaround and growth strategy across multiple plants, driving transformative cost reduction initiatives and negotiating major programs with leading OEMs in the auto sector. Raised in Warren, Ohio, Greg experienced poverty and foster care as a child, circumstances that fueled his early ambition. By age 28, he had become a millionaire and went on to build and exit multiple ventures as a serial entrepreneur. Greg began his career at Ford Motor Company, where he held several roles over 9 years across engineering, manufacturing, and program leadership. Later, he founded and led several companies, including IAG, Roxo, and Print Sites. Known as a proven business leader and negotiator, Greg has secured hundreds of millions in new automotive programs, successfully restructured underperforming operations, and strengthened relationships with key customers. He's a data-driven leader who connects financial discipline, operational excellence, and commercial growth to deliver sustained value creation. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Looking forward to talking with you, and I'm excited.
Hey, lay the foundation for us here. Tell us about DURA Shiloh, what you do, your customer base, and the scale and scope of this impressive operation.
Sure. So at DURA Shiloh, we're a tier 1 automotive supplier focused on stampings and structures. We manufacture structural components for chassis systems and assemblies that go into many of the vehicles that you drive today. And our footprint is truly global. We're approximately 16 plants across North America, Europe, and Asia, and we have over 4,000 employees.
Wow.
And really what makes us unique is the scale of our operation. It's combined with flexibility to adapt to customers' needs, but we also serve virtually every major OEM in automotive in our mix of technologies, from traditional stampings to advanced lightweight materials. They give you high strength for structures, mainly for safety components. And we have over 700 parts that are what we call a critical characteristic, meaning it's safety related. And, you know, we basically support the industry for efficient and safer and more sustainable vehicles.
I was excited to talk to you because, well, for a lot of reasons, but one of them was we're pretty deep in the auto sector ourselves. You're a guy that was in it early in your career, and then you had been out of it for a while. Now you've been back in it, so you've got an insider-outsider perspective. What's the state of the auto industry in the U.S. right now?
Right now, the way I look at it is the auto industry is in a period of transition. And after supply chain constraints, inflationary issues that we have and pressures, you know, production has it's stabilized, but at the same time, the demand is shifting. So right now, the OEMs are looking for strong product portfolios in SUV, trucks, and hybrids. So vehicles that balance that with like efficiency, and consumers that have the practicality of basically wanting essentially an ICE vehicle, a combustion engine. And right now the market, you know, it kind of drank the Kool-Aid on, you know, the way that government policy was shaped. We kind of left the normal, what I call marketing 101, which is build what your consumers want. Mm-hmm. And the companies that did that you could see their success. The companies that, just went with the government policies and kind of left the consumer in a way where, built it, they'll come, that's never worked. And that's where we're at.
You're talking about going into the EV, leaning heavily into EV.
Yeah, and I'm not against EV. I think EV is definitely the future. I think it's more hybrid than it is EV. But I see over the next 12 to 18 months, it will continue to stabilize, but with a stronger focus on, I would say, cost control and profitability, just because of the hits that were taken, and also the interest rates are still high, and affordability is in the top of the minds of the consumers, and so the OEMs that right size their production while investing in hybrids and ICE efficiencies, not just the EVs, those are the ones that will outperform in the industry.
How are the tariffs affecting the auto sector?
Tariffs, they always create cost pressures. So no matter what, if you just look in time and history, you can see that. But especially when you have like thin margins, because automotive is really thin margins, and the pressure flows down the supply chain. So in the near term, it increases, complexity, but companies have to rethink their sourcing and logistics and pricing structures. So I think over the next couple of years, I see the OEMs and suppliers looking at more what I call regionalization, meaning that they're going to build their vehicles where they sell it. So it kind of reduces exposure to geopolitical risk. So for suppliers like us, that means investing in North America and Europe for capacity to support the local content that the customers demand. And so that's where I see it going with the tariffs.
It seems like the trend toward needing to produce where it's going to be consumed, that was already moving that way, it seemed, even before the tariffs. It seems like there are bigger macro drivers in the world right now that seem to be pushing things that way. Is that accurate? I don't know. Do you think that's right?
No, I see it. I see it in the boardrooms. I see it in talking to other CEOs in the marketplace. At the end of the day, if you look at how this country was built, we built it by building things. And, when the 70s came, things started to deteriorate where they was moved to what we called low-cost countries like China at the time. Mm-hmm. I remember as a kid living in Warren, Ohio, and driving to Cleveland, and I'd go and I'd see these plants that were just abandoned and just like rust buckets on the off of the turnpike there. And in the back of my head, I tried to vision, even as a kid, like what was it like to have, all those people working and, building these small towns. And that was America we basically built things with our hands. And then they told us, hey, building with your hands is great, but robots are coming, and that was in the 80s, and all these jobs were going to be lost by robots and the computers, and it was like, there's no longer going to be that, and you have to go to school, and you have to go to the classroom, and so you get all these people now that have these education. But at the same time, you need people to use their hands and their brains to build things. And, some of the smartest people I know are on the manufacturing floor that will outdo anybody in a boardroom. I know this because I live on the floor. I go on the floor. I work with people on the floor, and I see it. So I think that is probably a philosophy of mine that I think will resonate with a lot of people that are in my generation, where they saw it happen. And when we first entered the market as young men and women, the way the business was ran is completely different than it's run today. And so, with that said, it's amazing to see everything coming back, and it's exciting. It's so exciting.
I've heard several leaders with big customers of ours say things like, yeah, if we could make it here, we're going to make it here. I was a little skeptical on the whole tariff thing, but golly, it does seem to be having some of the desired effects anyway. So I hope it leads to that resurgence. I wonder if this is my job to wrestle with this, I guess, but I wonder if the workforce is ready for it.
So that's where you have the disconnect, right? And here's where the disconnect is. If you have a product that you're making here in the States and your competitor is in China, and now there's a tariff on that particular item that's coming in. So now it's apples to apples coming in. Okay, so guess what happens? Your volume now starts to increase. Well, when your volume increases, what does that mean? That means your capacity starts to increase. That means that you need more people to build. That means you need technology, et cetera, and to grow. And so what is really, I think, the future is those companies who are in the training business of getting young people and folks that want to use their hands to build something, to teach them what it takes to not only build something on a manufacturing floor, but to be creative and be part of how that is built. And so the days of like, okay, we're going to buy a new line and you got op 10, you got op 20, you got op 30, and then you got the end of the line and you got testing, et cetera. How about having those workers be part of that operation while the machines are being made? You have them in there and they're understanding the cycle time and they're understanding what the downtime is and they're part of it. Just like when you're in a corporate environment and you're going over a budget, who do you have in there? You have your salespeople in there. You have your manufacturing people in there. You have everybody is touching this budget, right? And it gets all put together. Then you go to the board and present it. And I think that what really needs to happen is that same philosophy needs to happen out on the manufacturing floor. And that's what we've started to do. And that's what we're actually doing for all new programs is we're literally like building these programs and getting the local government that has these training programs and getting them involved and bringing them in to get the people that mainly that don't have a job right now that are collecting government funds. I want those people because you know what? If we can train them and we can show them and we can give them a future, then guess what? They become parents. They then have their children and they grow into being a productive citizen and contribute to what we call the great United States, right? And so I'm one CEO, right? So if you get hundreds of us to think that way, then we can really build this new generation. And they're smart. They are so smart. They're so well read. And they know how things work. And it's not like us where like we didn't know a whole lot. We only read the books that we were told to read, but these guys have information right from their fingertips from AI to looking things right online and getting the information instantly. So I think this is probably one of the greatest times for the greatest revivals in a period that most people don't see right now because there's a lot of noise out there. But when you start to look at the first sign of success is look at what machines are being ordered. Because when machines are being ordered, then that means orders are coming and programs are coming. And those tooling folks, they're starting to get really, really busy. And when they get busy, it's going to hit. And then in a year and a half to 2 years, you're going to see this massive explosion come out. And the ones that have the training programs are the ones that are going to win, where you have your OEE, you understand your efficiency, you understand your scrap levels, you understand, what you quoted versus what you're producing on the floor, and that you stay close to your quote and you beat it. And those are the kinds of things that is going to make you a great tier one supplier. And those are the things we're doing.
We're working with the school system down here. We have a ready to work program where we're putting together We call them industry champions. And we work with the school system kids that are not headed to college, but they want a career. We build out a curriculum senior year. We let them tour. We build out a whole curriculum. So based on the question, what do you need these kids to have in order to come work with you? And there are a lot of companies like you who are willing to invest in young people and help them step into these roles.
Workforce participation rates are at an all-time low in the U.S. This is a tragic waste of our nation's most valuable resource, its people. On top of this, we are seeing high school seniors across numerous high schools collect their diplomas and essentially walk off the graduation stage into unemployment. This divide is growing. To bridge this gap, Onan is working with high schools, business alliances, and employer champions to scale Ready to Work. Ready to Work powered by Onan builds career pathways for high school seniors looking to enter the workforce after graduation. So if you're an employer or community partner looking to shape the future labor pool, this is your opportunity. Learn how you can join this effort by visiting readytowork.org.
You mentioned China. Manufacturing. I'm curious about BYD. I've heard a lot about BYD. I think they've outsold in volume now Tesla internationally. They're not here. They have some cool tech. They're inexpensive. I'm just curious what you think. Could they compete if they were not subsidized by the CCP, the Communist Party over there? Or are they just doing things so well that, if we let them in, they got the model dialed in?
So BYD has done an impressive job in technology development, battery integration, vertical supply chain control. Their cost structure is obviously their major competitive advantage. But like you said, without the state subsidies, it's unlikely that they could price as aggressively, but their execution capability is strong. I think if BYD were to enter in markets like the US without subsidies, I think the challenge for them would be more in the compliance, safety, labor environmental standards. The bigger point is that BYD is basically, I think, pushing for. I look at global OEMs to rethink their competitiveness, and when I say that, I mean speed to market and cost efficiency. And what hasn't happened yet in the OEMs is there has been an emphasis for deals to be made with a transactional deals. And transactional deals don't work. Mm-hmm. People buy from people and companies and brands. And the moment you take that out and you just do it on transactions, where you have a buyer, let's say in India, talking to a tier one salesperson in North America, they don't understand what all the intricates are in the auto sector. The only thing they know are numbers, and they build these sourcing decisions off of these numbers. And when you go and you look at the quality that's out there, okay, they done well for their division because they sourced it at an X rate number. But then you look at, okay, what's the total cost? What's the total cost in quality? And how many vehicles do you have sitting outside that need to be reworked? And that B&A plant, body and assembly plant, has to rework all those. Add that cost up and then go back to the piece price. And then you tell me if you would have just gave it to the person that should have gotten it, you'd probably be a lot better off, especially if it's a regional supplier. And we've lost that in the industry. And the first procurement officer at an OEM that starts to build based off of relationships and open transparency of really having a partnership, that's going to be the most successful OEM, because they'll go through a brick wall for you because you believe in them, and that it's built off of a deal that, hey, I see that you need this and I'm going to give you that. In return, we're going to horse trade and we're going to do this and we're going to do that together. And you work through the issues. Right now, it's like standing up and going to Caesar and saying, I wasn't treated right. And it's either you're going to get your head cut off and you're going to get desourced and they're going to go somewhere else, or you stay quiet and you go through it. And what I'm seeing is a lot of these tier ones, they're not staying quiet anymore.
Yeah.
This whole transactional thing is I think going out the door. I think it's all about, we're going to make a deal and if you don't like the deal, come get your stuff. Like, just come pick it up. I'm shutting down. That's where we're at in this industry right now. And I never thought in a million years I'd ever see it, but that's where we're at.
You're spot on. We've worked with a handful of OEMs. We've got two that I'm thinking of that really have been just great partners. And you know what? We will walk through fire for them. Like, we will work harder, be more creative. There's a lot of cool things that can happen when you've got a win-win. Man, that's spot on. So you have a really interesting resume. I love your resume. You spent like 9 years, I think it was, with Ford, had a really great run there. Seemed like you're, really solid career progression. And then you spent, 20 years as an entrepreneur in stuff like you're not related to the auto sector. And then now you find yourself, you're CEO of a huge tier one auto supplier. How'd you land this gig? How did you get back into the auto space? I want to hear that story.
Sure. So just before COVID, I was in a PE firm. I was running two companies, one in industrial space and the other in SaaS computer. My deal, was coming up. And so I decided, I've been going so hard. I decided, hey, just a month right before COVID happened, I decided, I'm just going to take a break and take it easy. And what transpired is I lasted for about 6 to 8 months, and I started to get like phone calls from these OEMs calling me up going, Greg, we need your help, man. We're dying over here. Like, we can't get these parts out the door. And like, you're like the launch guy. Like, can you come and help us? So I said, sure. So I just started like dabbling around and doing these, what we call these turnarounds. And I started, getting heavily involved in going in and basically standing on a table and going, we're going to win. Kind of like, like Chariots of Fire. Like we're going to like everything looks horrible, but it just looks bad right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to just take it one step at a time, and we're going to handle this one thing at a time, and we're going to be great at what we do. And the decisions we make, if they're wrong, we're going to swivel our hips, and we're going to make those changes as we progress. And I just really got into it and felt like, wow, I'm really like making a difference here. And then all of a sudden, I'm in this place in down south in Alabama. And I get this phone call from this headhunter, and I normally don't answer my phone. I accidentally answered it, and I said, hello. And they said, this is so-and-so. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to answer the phone. And they're like, hey, we got a job, blah, 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 blah. 18 minutes from, you're from Detroit and Auburn Hills, Michigan, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, I'm good. And I just said, thank you. And then they just kept calling back and calling back. So finally I answered it, and then I told my wife, and she's like, wait a minute, that's 18 minutes from the house. Like, you've been on the road for, a while, and this might be your calling. And so I go through the interview process, and I'm in, Rick Braun is the gentleman's name, by the way, and hopefully Rick will listen to this podcast. But Rick Braun, I'm sitting at this tier one supplier and it's a disaster. And I go to the Home Depot parking lot. I put my phone up and I'm doing the interview with Rick Braun, and Rick is like, one of the top guys at this PE firm. And he just starts asking me questions and we just hit it off. And I said, yeah, here's how automotive works. This is what you got to do. And here's A, B, C, D. And you got to think like an entrepreneur, but have a corporate acumen. And next thing I know, I'm going to Kentucky and I'm sitting in front of the chairman and I interview with him. And 2 weeks later, here I am. I show up and wow, things have changed, man. Things have changed. It's like look at the news in 2014, 15. Okay, shut it off and then turn it on in 2025 and just look at the difference, right? If you could just do that, if you could just picture that, that's where the automotive market is like heated up. Like everybody is like it's like the mafia without the violence. It's crazy. It's just cutthroat now. There's no loyalty. There's no, it's like we've lost our way in understanding what true partnership means. Like if you make a mistake and you rebuild, okay, teams come back like Shiloh. It's like the 5-star, deal. And, we kind of lost our ways. And teams come back. And so I've rebuilt this entire team, and the stuff that we have done, like 56% improvements in some of our plants, just by blocking and tackling, very little capital, just getting those basic blocking and tackling things of manufacturing and getting back to the basics. That's how we've been able to, to effectively get ourselves back into what I call an efficient plants that we have, and we had some bad ones, and we have some real good ones, but now we don't have bad ones. We have all good ones now, and it's taken me a year and a half. But the chairman sees the results, the board sees the results, our team sees the results.
But a year and a half is not that long. So double click on that. How do you, in an organization that big, how are you prioritizing? How are you triaging what's working, what isn't working, what you tackle first? Walk us through that practically. I think it'd be interesting for our audience to hear that.
Sure. So I've been a CEO since 2003. When you come out of an OEM, you're versed in the business and you understand it, and then you become an entrepreneur, and you got to build everything from the ground up out of your basement. You just become more of an entrepreneur, and you have what I call a entrepreneurial spirit with a corporate acumen. And so the first thing I do, I have a process. It's a 10-step process that I've perfected over the years. And the first thing I do is I listen and I observe. Okay. I spend time in plants. I meet the teams. I review data. And then what I do after that, I assess the facts. I look at performance metrics. I look at the financials. I look at the customer feedbacks. And then what I do is I identify those gaps, both in people and the process. And then I prioritize for quick wins. So what I do is I build credibility with improvements that show results fairly quickly. And then what I do is I build a roadmap and build a longer term structure that, once that structure change is there and the trust is built, it's about balancing, the urgency with basically thoughtful assessments and showing you that you can act, decisively, but you got to understand the business deeply and know what people are experiencing. And so, change can be tough. If you interviewed my executive leadership team, they'll tell you that they got Newt Rockney speeches for an hour without me taking a breath like a fire hose of what winning means. And, when I come to work, I come to win. And if you go to my plant that wasn't so good, as soon as you walk in and you look right up on top of the door, it says win. It's what it says. And that plant now is at the top of the list, and it was the worst plant. And I'm proud of them. I'm proud of the team, proud of what they've accomplished. I'm proud of the workers, because that's where it all starts, is the folks on the line.
Tell us more about what you do as a leader change is hard. You mentioned that, right? So what do you think the key is to helping an organization thrive through change as opposed to struggle with change?
So I believe in my heart that it's personality driven. And what I mean by that is you have to be genuine. You can't stand up in front of people and not tell the truth, whether it hurts and they don't want to, because people respect that. You could say that the house is not in order, and you could say, yeah, we don't have the money to rebuild the house, but you know what we can do? We can wash the walls, we can clean the floors, we can organize the drawers, we can cut the grass, we can take the dirt that's already there and flip it over and take out the weeds, and we can make that look really, really nice and take pride into what we have. And if we get lucky, maybe we get a can of paint and we're able to paint the building and we're able to paint the house. And then all of a sudden people start to believe. They believe because you believe, and that you believe in them, and you're not standing up and giving some corporate line. Because, a lot of CEOs I can't stand, I'll be honest with you, because a lot of them, they just do the corporate thing and it's not real. It's what I call, it's fake. And I'm real, and you can't beat genuine at the end of the day. And I decided to do that a long time ago. So if something's bad, I just tell them, hey, this isn't good, but we can make it great. And here's how we can do it. So it's either you're on board. If you're not, I'll help you find a job. I literally will help you find a job if you don't feel comfortable. And some people will leave, and that's good, because now you got the people that you want, that want to win with you. And it's exciting, but it's scary as hell at the same time, because they think you're crazy. They don't see what you see, and they don't understand why you're doing things, because I don't tell them. They figure it out and they start connecting the dots, and they're like, oh, that's why he told us that, or that's why he said that. So now they know when I say something, they're like, oh, that's connected to something. Like, what is it? And sometimes they'll start to connect the dots on what I'm doing. And some of them are smart and they'll say, hey, this is why you're doing this. And I'll say, yeah. And there's, and that's how it goes. So in honesty, it really comes down to your personality and who you are as a person. And people know that if you're going to work with me, one, we're going to be truthful to each other, and we're going to level set, and we're going to fix the issues that we have. It's either a people problem or a process problem. It's one or the other. And what tools do you need to get that to work? And then you cut out all the red tape. Okay. So corporate people tend to come in with their badge and say, hi, I'm here from corporate. Well, when someone told me that at Ford, I ran. But my guys and gals, when they come into the plant, they're people that had their jobs, and they provide information that is truthful, meaningful, and respectful. And they're like, thank you. And I can't even tell you how many plant managers have called me up and said, the people that you're sending in here and the people that you've hired, they know what they're talking about. They're not some corporate folks that, want to look good. Because in corporate America, if you sound good and talk good, you get promoted. Even if you screw up, you still get promoted. The ones that are literally the engine that makes things that work great and that are very awesome and great at what they do, they don't get promoted. You know why? Because they make the leader look good at the end of the day. That's why they don't get promoted. And in order for you to get promoted, okay, you got to be at the right place at the right time. And it's got to be your calling. And you can't force it. And so this was my calling. This was the man upstairs saying, Greg, you're going to DURA Shiloh. And Greg was saying, no, I'm not going to DURA Shiloh. Oh, yes, you are. No, I'm not. And sometimes that message comes where you have to say, okay, this is my calling. I have to come here. There's a reason why I'm here. And so a lot of people don't look at it that way. And, it's a mindset. And I could tell you this, that if I didn't have the experience that I have, I don't think I could do this job. But I actually love this job. This is fun. This is, I get to see people grow. I get to see things that were disastrous turn into something great. I get to see risk at a front view. I get to see greatness and winning happen where other people never dreamed or thought it would ever happen. And we still got a lot of work to do. We're not even close to where I want us to be, but where we are in a year and a half ago from today, if you were to just interview, 3 of my leadership folks, I can promise you that it'll be like a fire hydrant of all the things that we've done and what we've done to get there.
Struggling with high turnover and burnout? Own and Flex addresses these challenges head on, offering a scalable solution with vetted part-time talent to fill staffing gaps. Own and Flex combats worker shortages and ensures your core team isn't overburdened, reducing turnover and enhancing job satisfaction. Empower your workforce and boost your success with Own and Flex. Visit ownandflex.com to learn more.
When folks have lived in a corporate environment, if they worked in a corporate environment, as you term it, sometimes they're almost like institutionalized, like they're kind of like conditioned. You have not been at it that long, and I don't know, maybe you're not 100% there, but like, how did you, I get it, like in the people you interact with daily, they would pick that up, but in organizations across over a dozen countries, how do you make that entrepreneurial transformation in an organization that big?
Well, I can tell you this. When you first meet me and you're an institutionalized corporate person, you look and you say, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's crazy. He's way out there, like this guy's going to crash and burn. And I come at things from such a different way that they just don't even know how to react to it. And accountability is a powerful statement. And when you instill accountability that requires truth, where you're not blaming something else or another person or a process, where you stand up and you take responsibility for it. What I have to do is I have to show that when you do that, you're rewarded and you're hugged for it. When you blame others and you do the corporate, it's not me, it's someone else, I will come after you. You wouldn't believe. Like the Greek blood, the Mediterranean will come out at me. And I get pretty upset and animated over it because I don't like that. I don't like that at all, because what I do over a period of time is they'll come to me and they'll say, what do you want? And here's what I say. Well, if you owned it, what would you do? If your name was on the outside of the building and you owned this place, tell me what you would do. Don't tell me right now. Go think about it. And then I'll tell you what, let's meet in a month. You have the power to go do it. Go do it and come back and let's talk. And then they call up and they say, well, can I do this? They'll call like other people around me. Can I do? And he'll say, Greg told you that it's your company, your area, you own it, you run it, and you're held accountable for your decisions. And they don't know what to do with that. They don't know what to do because guess what? You don't have anybody to blame anymore. You can't say, oh, it was the finance guy that came in here. Oh, it was the production person that told me to do this. No, you own it all. That's yours. Your name is on the outside of the building. You own it. And by the way, if somebody from my area, my headquarters comes in and tells you something stupid, throw them out of the building. You have permission to do that. Throw them out because you're running a business. And if they're telling you to do something that doesn't make sense, throw them out.
Yeah.
And my guys came up to me. They're like, Greg, anybody throws me out, I'm going to have a big problem with that. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. Are you going to do something stupid where they would tell you to leave?
Right.
And they say no. And I say, well, then what the hell you got to worry about then? And then they're like, you're right.
So what percentage in your first year, what percentage of your workforce ended up turning over?
A handful.
Not that many.
Yeah. You know who the ones were?
Who?
The ones that did a lot of talking and didn't do a lot of getting it done. Sounded good, talked good, great in meetings, always had an answer for everything. But when it came down to the meat and potatoes, and I started drilling and started asking questions, and you can't answer it, yeah, they didn't like that, because then they got a performance review right there. And it sounds brutal, but at the end of the day, just say, I don't know, and I'll get back to you. And be ready next time. And you know what? I have a huge heart, massive heart inside of me. Like I love people. I do. But I hold you accountable. Even if you're my son, my brother-in-law, it doesn't matter. If you don't perform, I will come after you. Period. Because it's like a sports team. I'll use football because I love football. It takes 11 men to all do their job. And if one person makes one mistake, it could blow up the whole thing. And it doesn't matter who that player is on that team. They have to perform. But here's the thing. You can't tell them how to run the route. You can show them on the paper how to run the route, but how they study and know where the defense is lined up and how they work together and how you break down the silos where they're all working together as a team. I'll give you a perfect example. There's 20 companies in the portfolio company of the PE firm. And my first board meeting, okay, I brought in my entire executive leadership team. And I noticed that the people ahead of me, they brought in just the CEO and maybe the CFO, and that was it. And I got up. So I had Anne-Marie do the sales, finance. I had my CFO do the finance. I had operations do operations. And what I was the coach. And when the chairman would ask a question, I would ask a question back, and, my team would answer it. And why did I do that? I did that so they own it. They own it to the chairman. They own it to their people, and they're running their business. And I am the coach. I am the CEO. That means Chief Executive Officer. What that means is your job is to manage people and get greatness out of them and motivate them to win. And what you do is you break down barriers and you simplify things and you allow them to be able to own what they're doing. And who cares about the credit? Okay, I give the credit to my entire team. At the end of the day, those who lead and those who have the ability to allow others to become successful are the true leaders of the world. Mm-hmm. And when you hold people back, you're not winning. You're losing, because you know what's in your way? Your ego. And my ego is this: let the team win. Let the team win. And at the end of the day, it takes a leader to think that way. And if you don't think that way, then you're not going to win. You're going to try and do everything yourself. And doing things yourself, you're only going to get so far, and then it's going to crumble on you. And how do I know this? Because I've been a CEO since 2003, and I had to learn. I had to learn things that you're not taught in school. It's taught by just doing it. And I learned about people. And I learned the number one rule is you have to have humility. Okay, how many CEOs do you know that have humility? How many CEOs do you know that have to say, you know what? I'm sorry. That wasn't a good decision, and I probably should have made this decision, and you were right. How many CEOs can say that? I could tell you this, I say it all the time when I'm wrong. I'll say I'm wrong. And they don't even know what to do. Oh my gosh, the CEO just said he was wrong. Yeah, because you know why I do that is to show them that I'm a person and that I'm real and that I make mistakes too and that you deserve the credit because you made the right call and I should have listened to you. And that's how you win, because you know what that creates? That creates respect, and it's earned. And you know what they'll do for you? When you ask them to do something for you, they'll go through a brick wall for you because they trust you. And when they screw up on something, they'll come to you and they'll be so hard on themselves. And you know what I'm doing? Hey, it's okay. You're a human being. You made the mistake. We can fix this. Calm down. It's okay. Now, I get pissed too, but that's okay. We get through it, but then we get back to work and we go fix it because I trust them. I tell them, listen, you wouldn't be in this position if I didn't believe in you. And I believe in you and I know what you're capable of. And I take tests for everybody, personality tests. So I know how people are going to react to things. So if you look at my executive leadership team, it's designed in a way that I know where to push and I know where not to push. It's kind of like that movie Miracle. Remember that 1980 hockey team?
Oh yeah, yes.
Right. And how he gave the test to everybody, and then the goalie, right? He never took the test. He took it and threw it in the garbage can. That says a lot about somebody. That means that's your maverick, and you got to have a couple of them. And so that's how I design. I design everything through personality and their traits of what they're good at. Because here's the thing. Everybody's got the education. You don't even get not even the education. When I say education, I'm not talking about a degree. I'm talking about an education in the discipline that you're doing, right? You got to have that to sit at the table. And what's the difference between, if I take 5 mechanical engineers and I sit them down at the table, what's the difference between the 5? Their personality. What's important to them? How do they manage? Are they unicorns? Can they be technical and also sell ice to an Eskimo? That's the guy I'm hiring, or the gal I'm hiring, because they got both. And those are the people that are, become leaders, are the ones that have those special skill sets that come from their soul.
Thank you so much, Greg. Hey, how can folks connect with you, find out more about your company, opportunities you may have on your team? What's the best spot? We'll put it in the show notes.
Sure. You can go to our website, durashiloh.com. You can catch us on LinkedIn as well, under DURA Shiloh, under my personal LinkedIn page, Greg Ramfos.
Okay, that's great. Greg, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep it real. Thank you for listening. This podcast is powered by Onin, the staffing partner delivering real results for manufacturing, logistics, and food processing companies nationwide. To learn more, visit www.oningroup.com. Until next time, keep it real.